Hello, I'm Dr. Jeff Smith. We're here to talk about thyroid in the 21st century and why I cannot lose weight despite taking my medications. Thyroid is never really truly explained to patients. When they come to our office, I always ask them, did your doctor bother to explain to you what's even going on? And the resounding answer is always no. So what I'm going to do is take a few minutes to really just explain to you how the thyroid system works and what's going on, and how or why your medication may not be helping you so that you can lose weight or even feel better. So let's talk about this a little bit. We are a Smith Family Clinic of Northwest Arkansas. My name is Dr. Jeff Smith. I'm a board-certified doctor. I hold 5 different degrees and certifications. I've been in private practice here in Bentonville, Arkansas for quite a while, since 1998. And I'm the author of several books, including the book called Natural Thyroid Care, which is a bestseller on Amazon.com. So I recommend you go to Amazon.com, search or type in for a search, Dr. Jeff Smith, Natural Thyroid Care. You'll find my book. It's very affordable and it'll help you tremendously. I'm also a consultant and teacher. I travel around the country and I work with a group of doctors that we help people like yourself that just have tried everything under the sun and don't seem to be getting the answers that you require. And I teach other doctors our procedures as well. I am the clinic director here at Smith Family Clinic, and I've also been on TV, and I have a lot of social media videos out there to try and educate the public on the things that they're traditionally not getting help with. So look us up. We'll help you. So let's talk about how thyroid really works, okay? Has your doctor ever really sat down with you and explained how your thyroid and hormone system really works? Resoundingly, the answer is always no to that. No one ever gets explained these things. It amazes me how many times people bring in MRIs and X-rays to me and says, my doctor says there's a huge problem, but I have no idea what he's talking about because he never went over it with me. Or my doctor said to take this medication and didn't explain to me why I needed it or what it was going to do to me. So stop that. As a patient, stop that. You have a right to ask your doctor questions. You're there for you. You're not there for your doctor. Ask them why they're putting you on the medication. What is it going to do to me? Is it going to fix the cause of my problem, or is it merely covering up the symptoms? Ask that question. You have a right to do that. Okay? There are 3 things a doctor must look at when dealing with a thyroid or hormone patient. There's physical problems, metabolic problems, and neurological problems. Now there's 7 steps to thyroid production. 7 things have to happen before your thyroid system will utilize the hormone. We're going to talk about those right now. Step number 1 is physical. There's a little part of our brain, it's called the brain stem. It's at the back part of our brain. The brain stem carries the information from our brain and transmits it to the actual thyroid gland. There's a space at the top of our skull. That space should be about 10 or 11 millimeters wide, not very wide, about the width of a thumb. That space is where the brainstem feeds through. What do you think would happen to the information coming from your brain to your thyroid gland if that space has been smashed or compromised? Do you think all the information is going to get through? Well, of course it won't. That's a big issue for a lot of our patients. So if the doctor doesn't look at this particular aspect of the problem, they're skipping the physical step in its entirety. Okay? Not a good thing. Neurologic, that means brain. A lot of people don't realize this, but your thyroid won't do anything unless your brain tells it to. And 3 different steps have to happen in the brain before that even occurs. Okay? So let's talk about them. Step number 1. Okay, in the upper part of our brain, there's a part of our brain called the hypothalamus. The hypothalamus's job is to read the level of T3 and T4 hormones. Now, these are the 2 hormones that your thyroid makes. Those hormones your hypothalamus reads, and if there's not enough of it in the bloodstream, your hypothalamus will start more production of hormones. It'll say, okay, we don't have enough. Let's make some more hormones. So your T3 and T4 production is read by your hypothalamus. Your hypothalamus talks directly to your pituitary gland. Okay? Your pituitary gland is step number 2. The pituitary gland is to make T TSH. Now, a lot of you've probably had TSH hormone testing run on your blood test. It's one of the 8 numbers that we have to properly diagnose you, because there's 6 forms of this disease, not just one form of hypothyroidism, there's 6. The pituitary makes the TSH hormone. Now, a lot of you may think that's a thyroid hormone. So when you do a thyroid test, you think that's a thyroid hormone. It's not. It's not a thyroid hormone. It's made in your brain, in your pituitary gland. TSH stands for thyroid stimulating hormone. Well, what do you think its job is? I ask that question to my patients quite often. TSH's job is to tell the thyroid gland, make some hormones. Okay? That's the part of your brain that instructs the thyroid gland to make our hormones. That's step number 2. Step number 3 occurs in the lower part of the brain called the cerebellum. Your cerebellum takes the information from the pituitary and transmits it down to the thyroid and to the rest of the body. That carries the signal and begins the production. Now, that stops the neurology part of the brain. So how many of you at this point have had a neurological evaluation by your doctor when you've gone there for a thyroid check? If you haven't had that test ran, then your doctor hasn't checked the neurology. Your neurology has to function or your thyroid can't make hormones. So steps 1, 2, and 3 have to occur before your thyroid will do anything. If your doctor hasn't bothered to do a basic neurological evaluation on you, then they don't care about that, and that's not a good thing. You will not get better if steps 1, 2, and 3 don't work. Okay? The metabolic system takes over thyroid production at this point. This is step number 4. Our thyroid gland will make 2 hormones. I mentioned them earlier. It makes T4 and it makes T3. It makes 93% T4, which is a hormone that we can't even use. And it only makes about 7% of T3. Now, why in the world would our thyroid make 93% of a hormone we can't use? Well, because we can store T4. When we need some free T3, we can convert T4 into the T3. And the part of our body that does it, believe it or not, is the liver. Our liver is just as important in thyroid production as the actual thyroid gland. If your liver's malfunctioning, it can cause 2 different forms of those 6 forms of hypothyroidism. It's extremely important. Step number 5. Once the liver converts T4 into T3, we need to convert T3 into something called free T3. And free T3 is the actual hormone that goes into our body's cells and gets utilized to help us lose weight, grow hair, whatever. Okay? T3 has to be converted into free T3. The way that happens is through a healthy gastrointestinal system. If you don't have a healthy gastrointestinal system, this step isn't happening. Your thyroid could be producing all of the hormones in the world, but if we're not converting them into a usable form, it doesn't matter. So simply giving a patient like that thyroid medication would do nothing. Now, I'm not advocating you not to take your thyroid medication. Please don't think I'm telling you not to do that. That's not my job. That's not my specialty. It's not my area of expertise. I don't control your medication. Your doctor does that. Okay? But what I'm saying is if your gastrointestinal system isn't healthy, it will vastly affect your thyroid function, and that is not controlled whatsoever by thyroid pills. It's just not. Okay? Step number 6. Once we have the free T3 hormone that our body uses, we need to get it to our body. To do that, free T3 has to hitch a ride on a special protein called TBG. TBG stands for thyroid binding globulin. If we don't have that protein in our system, we have no way of transporting the free T3, and we have no way of utilizing it. Okay? So lacking a protein called TBG could cause all of your thyroid symptoms. And it's not a thyroid problem at all. Okay? And finally, step number 6, the TBG actually carries the hormone into our cells. So this hormone is very much based upon necessity of a protein, our gastrointestinal system, our liver, and 3 different areas of our brain to make you feel normal. And none of those things can occur by simply taking thyroid medication. So is it really any wonder that when you take your thyroid medication and still feel horrible, still can't lose weight, still can't sleep, have no energy, have no desire? Is it any wonder you feel that way? It's because your doctor hasn't taken the time to look at you physically, neurologically, and metabolically and truly found out where the cause of your problem is. That's what doctors like me are for, and I'd be glad to help you with that. I'm Dr. Jeff Smith. Have a great day.